Conquer Athlete community, what is going on? We're here at the Conquer Athlete podcast with Coach Ryan Bucciatini, and we brought on the one and only Kandace, and I'm going to mess up the last name, but I got to try it.
It just recently changed back to Hudspeth.
Hudspeth.
Hudspeth, yeah.
Hudspeth. I was pretty close. I was good.
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. We brought on the one and only Kandace, and she's in a jam about everything that she has going on, and we're going to talk about some marketing, some social stuff, but as always, let's start with something inside the fitness community with the new CEO of CrossFit. I feel like Ryan doesn't give a fuck, but thoughts from everybody else. Ryan?
I saw the announcement, but I don't actually know who it is or much about him.
Christina told me this morning that there was a new one. I had no idea. I've been off Instagram.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really I was in the same boat. I knew about it, but I didn't know anything about him. And I was talking to somebody today, and he's been like the first, from what they're saying, CEO hire that has true roots inside the sport of CrossFit. So he was around with Greg Glassman. He worked for CrossFit when Greg Glassman was there. So I think that shows some promise of trying to get things back. I'm just like, CrossFit organization with all the new people that have come in and what they've done could really write a book on how to fuck a business up and have it not get fucked up. It's like, it's crazy to me how it's how they handle things. Yeah, the community, the coaches, the people that are kind of like not steering the ship, but doing the work on the ship, keep that thing afloat. Otherwise, I'm like, what are we doing here?
Do you have some related news, though? I don't know if this is still on, considering that there's leadership changes, but from what I was told, this is the 20th year reunion of the inaugural, right?
Is it? Do you know CrossFit Games
this year?
Yeah.
And they want to honor all of the winners, and James was invited, which I thought was amazing. And so we may be going.
Wow.
James didn't even go to the games, and he had like 20 athletes at the games. I remember one time I saw James there. I think the last time I saw him there was in Carson. And he was just like, it was like a spy. Like he was sitting on the top row, hat down low, glasses on, just kind of sitting there, I'm like, Coach, what are we doing? Well, that was James.
I'll get more intel. We're at the end of May. We're doing a staff retreat to Zion, and James will be there. So I'll poke the bear and see if I can get his true feelings on this. I'm sure he is excited and just wants to reconnect with people. He's in this, era of love and just pouring into people. So I think it'll be good for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I mean, man. I don't think there's a person who's touched more coaches, or I shouldn't say touched. It's a weird time. Impacted more coaches.
He touched me, Ryan.
I mean, you got a cute face.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. I
think that's awesome.
That's cool that they could get past that. I mean, whatever. It's been how many years? CrossFit should get past it. Because he really did have an impact.
I was laughing too because they have all these new games coming out, right? Like the Xenon games and the Athletics games, all this different stuff, right? And I feel like James is doing this with his games way back when. He had the optathlon, right? That a lot of people don't know about, but he had that way back when. And I feel like he kept I feel like that's what everything is now. Is just the wrong time for it, I guess, with how strong everything else was. But
it'll be cool. I'd be excited to go, and maybe I'll see you guys there. We can hang in real life.
Yeah, I don't. The games are tough for me now, and where I'm in my life cycle to get there. I know Ryan goes there, but for me, it's like I'm either like in the thick of it with the finishing part of baseball, or like once baseball ends, it's like we take a family vacay because my oldest daughter's going to start up high school sports, and that starts like mid-August. So we normally take a family vacation after the chaos of summer sports before school starts. So like last year was the first games that I didn't go to since 2018. I was in Disney World watching Tudor. Zach was coaching Tudor out there. But yeah, first one since 2018 I didn't go to.
Well, I'll see Ryan there, but I'll see you in Arizona in October.
That's right. Last thing we're going to talk trash about, and then we can move on to some real stuff that's important. I got to say this. Like, some of these semifinals are a fucking disaster. They are a disaster.
There's only been two. You can say which
and they've
one.
Oh man, Legends was a disaster. Legends was a complete disaster in my opinion. It's tough because I feel like their hands were tied with some things. Like I think the venue that they were at was too quote unquote big for the britches. Like we talked about this last week. I think Mayhem nailed it with bringing it back to the affiliate. Obviously, it's a huge affiliate with every piece of equipment you could ask for. It makes it a lot easier. You know, I was hearing stories that like they couldn't get a rig and they had to ship down the rig from NorCal like 2 days before, and they couldn't get sponsors. It was getting really hard to do that. But even like just the judges, the athletes were getting dinged on stuff that like other people like but that's from day one, right? The continuity of judges holding standards varies from judge to judge, and it can make or break some people, you know, which makes it challenging. But I think they got to tighten this stuff up.
I think it's crazy. It's crazy to see programming changes like day of or night before, like changing weights, or I don't know what that bike was. Like, dude, I think it was originally supposed to be a run, and then they were like, no, we're going to do this super obscure bike, but they didn't know how to program it. So it was like unknown till game time.
Yeah, it was almost, because you had Dan there, right? Yeah, okay, so you know everything. But like Kandace, and for the listeners out there, the athletes, they didn't have the distances for the ski or the bike. Like when they showed up, it was almost like they like put the damper up to all the way, which is like a damper of 20. It was just like, did you guys test anything out? Like, why are there so many changes? And like coaches were trying to make coaches pay like $140 for a coach's pass if they didn't get the email with a discount. It was like, what is going on right now? It was a disaster.
The Flow Elite thing was crazy. Like, your entire sport is down from a viewership perspective, and then you're going to charge people to watch it is crazy to me. Like,
what's the workaround to that, though?
The thing we've been running for literally ever. And like, you can argue that that's had its own hangups and hiccups, and firing the media team was probably one of the poorest decisions CrossFit ever made, but we need eyeballs. We have direct competition at this point between High Rocks and like where athletes and people that want to compete are looking for alternatives. We need to do everything we possibly can to alleviate restriction from being able to experience our sport and capturing new interest, in my opinion.
You know what I can't understand is why there's so many athletes who are like, I'll use the word vetoing the World Fitness Project, because I look at like what just happened throughout these, you know, sectionals, and CrossFit's like the one sport where if you're a professional and you make the games, unless you're a well-known name with tons of sponsorships, you're losing money to compete, right? Like you have to pay for your flight, pay for hotel, unless you can get people to cover it.
Yeah.
But it's not like the organization is saying, "Hey, you're a pro. Here's your pro card. You're gonna get paid," right? Whereas World Fitness Project, if you're a pro and you're on the card, they give you a contract of, let's call it $40K a year, and all the events that you go to, they cover flight and hotel. And then if you win events on top of that, you get additional money on top of that. So you might make 50, 60, 70K to be on their pro card, which to me, I'm like, that. How is every athlete not trying to get that, right?
I still think there is some nostalgia with the games. I do think athletes treat that as the pinnacle of, you know, being the fittest in the sport. I don't think any other organization has attempted to claim that. So I still think when athletes are structuring their year, they still look at the games as the games, which I think is awesome. Like, that's good that we still have that banner. And really, I think it came down to how much we're competing in a season. I think that was honestly the big driver that drove people away.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I particularly think like semifinals has been programmed well, but I think WFP was programmed even worse.
Yeah, maybe, but I know like their workouts for the London one, which is coming up this actually weekend, pretty good, pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely in a place where we're lacking continuity from level to like open to quarterfinals to semifinals, multiple semifinals, and then the games. There's no continuity. And you have people that clearly don't program design, trying to write entire competitions and actually impacting athletes who should have qualified.
I mean, my biggest suggestion from day one is stop trying to be cute. Keep it simple and effective. Hit what you're trying to hit. It doesn't need to be flashy. You don't need to invent stuff. You don't need to bring crazy stuff in. Like, keep it simple and basic, and it would be super effective. Like, I don't understand why people go away from that.
It annoys the shit out of me. Like, just to see like all these mayhem programmed competitions. But I do think more times than not, they are better than some obscure, like Who Did Legends. Like Bob and Joe should step away.
Yeah. But speaking of continuity, Ryan, let's talk about continuity in coaches and marketing and socials and how that can be effective, which is why we brought in Kandace. And Kandace, Tell everybody what you have going on, what you're doing, and all the amazing things that you're doing for coaches and development over at OPEX.
Oh gosh, like any business, there's like 100 things going on at any given time. But our three main areas of focus are the OPEX method, which is sort of a reimagined version of the traditional OPEX coaching certificate program. That's now a 10-week mentorship, lecture Tuesday, lab Thursday, office hours Friday kind of a thing. Activity a lot in the Slack group, so like open access. And then really cool, I got to inject 2 weeks of marketing education into the program. So I'm teaching content strategy on week 9 and then like marketing systems build out on week 10. And that's been really a fun experience. I've taught 3 cohorts and it's just been I'm like super fulfilled by doing it, being able to pour into coaches on a deeper level. And then obviously Coach RX, our coaching software, your operating system that you all program and build relationships in virtually. And then LearnRx, which is our online learning platform, kind of like a Netflix for coaches with lots of classes in there. So those are the 3 main sort of like business lines that I oversee from a marketing perspective. And then part of Coach RX, we have the Coach RX podcast network, which this show is a part of. And we have about 15 shows in the network, which is all just awesome coaches who are creating great content, really like leveling up the conversation around coaching from all different perspectives. And that was a personal passion project for me, just to be able to kind of curate us all into one ecosystem, drive more exposure to the things that you all are doing. And I thought, hey, if I'm asking you to do it, I should put my, step up and do it too. So I launched my show in that last year. So we're coming up on the year anniversary, which was my birthday last year. My birthday's next week. Be 44. And
Nice.
yeah, so the Marketing for Fitness Coaches show is part of the podcast network. And that's been such a fun evolution for me. In the last episode that I recorded, I was like super vulnerable, just sharing that I'm used to being a behind the scenes like marketing operator my whole career. And to step up and be like front facing and produce content, it's a whole nother game. And it like takes a different level of confidence, a different level of like understanding your voice, your perspective, the messages that you want to put out into the world, how well you craft those messages, how compelling they are. And I feel like the show and the experience of building the show over the last year has actually made me a better marketer, definitely a better communicator, but a better marketer for sure. I'm actually implementing the systems that I'm teaching the coaches through the show in the way that I produce and distribute the show each week. So like the model in itself is being proven that way. And then I get to run some office hours once a month with anyone who listens to the show and just go deeper with coaches for free. And I have a handful of coaches who are fully implementing the system and getting really great results. So that's really rewarding and fulfilling to see that in action and to be able to kind of coach them through the steps more directly. Obviously, in the method, I help them like build the foundations, build the systems, and get running. And then after that experience, I'm trying to figure out a way that I can stay connected and offer something more in depth to support the actual ongoing production process, because that's where the real learning and growth happens, right? Like the reps of uploading a weekly video and like watching your game tape and reviewing your own performance and getting clearer on your voice and your message. And so it's just been a lot of fun. But those are the big things that are going on in our world.
It's a lot. It's a lot going on.
That's a lot going on.
It's Right. I want to ask her about marketing systems, marketing strategies. I know that's something that you love, and Ryan and I have had a lot of conversations with you about that. So from that perspective, where do you see coaches going wrong? And then what do you think some fixes are for them?
Yeah. I mean, I've been on this kick for the last like 6 episodes, just explaining, the difference between market saturation and market maturity. And in an emerging market, which we were in the early years of online fitness coaching, you're optimizing for scale and efficiency, right? Because you're just trying to capitalize on all the demand that's there. But now we're in this place where we're, 10, 15 years of online fitness coaching being a thing. And we're now in a really mature market. And a lot of coaches have this hesitation or resistance to putting themselves out there because they think it's saturated and they think there's no room for them to be active in the online coaching space. And so I'm trying to help them shift their mindset to what is different about a mature market. And like saying it's saturated actually impedes your ability to have success because you think there's no opportunity for you. Saturated means there is no opportunity, but mature means you just have to think differently and behave differently. And you need to optimize for depth over volume. So I think what a lot of coaches are doing wrong is not like setting a really strong foundation and getting clear on who they are, who they serve. Like have this framework for them defining their niche around the person, the problem, and the promise of their coaching. And then another framework around them developing their unique coaching content signature that helps them articulate their unique perspective on serving that audience in a way that that only they can, based on their lived experience, based on all of the acumen and intellect they developed over the years, but like really finding their unique voice and not just scanning the social web for what everyone else is doing and trying to repeat hooks and formats and hacks, but like just get clear on who you serve and what you want to say to them and how you help them coach through your content, and treat content as a mastery practice. Because from my own experience in just doing the show, it's like the more you do the reps of a weekly video and the more clear you get on your message and how you want to deliver that message, the better you show up in your coaching practice every day, the better you are able to develop relationships with your clients and connect with them, because it's a relationship business. Your communication drives a lot of that relationship. And if you treat it like a mastery practice versus aiming for just the outcome of getting clients are going to come, but you're going to get better each week when you show up in your content. And the better you are at delivering, the better you are at communicating, the more trust that's established. The more the trust is established, the more the business will follow those results that you want. But when you're trying to like remix and repeat everyone else's work, it's like it's not your voice. It's not authentic. It doesn't build trust. You don't stand out and you hate your life. So I'm trying to teach them to think about it as a mastery practice and to build a model that's actually sustainable, because we don't want to be pulled away from our client roster more than we need to be. But we do care about mastery, impact, and obviously income, but in that order. So if we aim for mastery and use content as a way to develop that mastery, one of the ways that we develop that mastery, and we think about impact, meaning every video that we put out is like super deep, reflects our core beliefs as a coach, serves an audience, specific audience really well, adds value. You can't coach everyone. Like, you are limited to some capacity of your client roster, but your content isn't. And you can have a lot more impact that way. And then, of course, as trust is built, the income will follow. And it's a long game. So this is like, if you're going to do this, you got to be committed for years and years of getting better with every weekly video. So it's got to be sustainable. So the minimum viable marketing system is something that I developed for coaches to actually have a sustainable approach to their marketing, actually learn how to coach their content. And I've just created a number of tools for them. Like, I have a 8-step marketing roadmap. I have the coaching content signature. I have their niche formula. I have this minimum viable marketing system. And I have a perspective on like a buyer-led binge model. And then this thought of like really aiming for mastery and using your content as a part of your aim for mastery, coaching through your content each week. So yeah, I'm just trying to help them love marketing the way I do, but like see it from a perspective that they understand and something that they want to do.
Exactly like you said, it feels inauthentic when you start looking at what everyone else is doing, especially like the critique videos. Coaches critiquing other coaches is the thing that makes me most bonkers about content creation. I'm like, why are we eating our own? But to your point of depth over volume, how would you approach a coach who was like, well, I don't know what my voice is. I don't really know what my audience is. What sort of process would you kind of walk them through, or, prompts would you use to kind of help guide them through that?
I mean, I think when it comes to, there's the ever, evolving question of like, do you need a niche? Are you the niche? Like, you're a coach. I position this as you're the niche's hero. Your niche may very well be your previous life or the previous fitness experiences that you've had, and maybe you start there. Well, I think a lot of coaches tend to come up as athletes and evolve into coaches. And so they may have a very specific segment of the fitness population that they enjoy coaching. And obviously in online, when it comes to like creating content, we've moved away from social media to interest media. Your content does the targeting. Your followers don't matter. Your content has to be good and it has to break through. So in order for those things to be true, it has to be very specific and very high value. So even if you're an in-person or you're a hybrid coach and you coach a general population or a mixed population in person, when it comes to how you want to build your online business, you do need to be very specific for that content to actually do its job and do the targeting for you. In terms of how to define your niche, I use that framework of the person, problem, and the promise of your coaching, and really getting as specific as possible. And the second tool that builds off that, I actually built a custom GPT that I'm happy to share with your audience. And that is called the coaching content signature. It's a model that I have like a worksheet on and also do consults on with coaches all the time. But I built this GPT because I can't effectively get on Zoom with every single coach that I want to. But this GPT basically is like me and my brain guiding you through the process of getting clear on your coaching voice. It outlines, once you've defined that person you want to coach, the problem that you're solving for them, and like how you're delivering well through the promise of your coaching. We then walk through, how do you define those topics that the person with that problem is most interested in solving? And then what is your unique coaching perspective around each of those specific topics? And then the third element of that model is your voice, like how you show up energetically. What is your like tone and delivery style? Are you more of a teacher? Are you use humor? All the things that make you you and unique. And what's at a deeper level, when those things come together and have areas of overlap, like when your core coaching belief and that transformational topic overlap, you can define your unique perspective or point of view on what you're going to say about that thought. When your style and those topics come together, it's kind of like that energy or the temperature that you bring to your content. And then when the style and the beliefs overlap, it's like your overall expression. So going through this process, they're able to create a really solid base of a content strategy. And then that content strategy informs the minimum viable marketing system framework that I've built for them to show up weekly in their content. And I ask them to lead with long form because we're trying to achieve influence. I know coaches don't want to be influencers, but they do want to have influence and impact. And I think we should like take influence back from the influencers because we have the strongest ability to have influence on the people that we want to coach. And so, yeah, this process of leading with long form allows us to have depth. I actually teach another framework that I want coaches to think about called content minutes. So instead of optimizing for views and optimizing for, whatever volume metric is you're told to optimize for, think about the amount of time that you can accumulate with any one single viewer. Because we know at 10 minutes, you're still a stranger. At 60 minutes, they might have a little bit of interest or alignment in the things that you're sharing. At 300 minutes, they start to develop some sort of belief in you or trust in you. And then at 800 minutes, they're ready to buy. So the thought process is less about how do I get the most eyeballs on any one piece of content, but how do I take the couple hundred viewers that I have on one piece of content and get them to go deeper with me each week, build up those content minutes, build the trust, and then get them to pre-decide that I'm the coach for them, being ready to buy when they show up in my DMs and not wasting my time on a consult call.
Do you feel like, go ahead, Rye.
I just had one follow on to that. And I love that idea of content minutes versus just a pure metric of eyeballs. Because if it's, 50,000 people at 3 seconds, who realistically cares? Like, it doesn't matter. You said something, social media versus interest media. Can you expand on that? And do coaches need to focus on both in their content creation? Or is it kind of like, I'm more of a social, I want to connect with you sort of thing? Or I'm going to create interest media that may be like theory or method or principle driven?
So this term is more like how marketers are describing the pivot that the algorithms have taken over the last 6 years, really with like TikTok leading the charge. Right? So in the past, when we first all got on social media, like in, 2010, 2009, back in the day, it was it's kind of like the email strategy, right? Like accumulate as many subscribers or followers as you can, and that controlled your distribution. But today that the algorithms don't work that way. They've all pivoted to allow the content to create the distribution. So all of the algorithms now run on this type of distribution where your content and everything that is involved in that piece of content, from what you're saying to text on screen, to the environment that you're creating content in, to your caption, who you're tagging, who you're collaboratively posting with, all those variables create the signals to the algorithm for it to know who to distribute to. And so like when any one person opens up their feed, they're being presented with the content that they're most likely to engage with based on their previous engagement. So you'll notice, like, let's say you open up Instagram and one day you're like, you search for something specific. Like I give this example a lot. Around Black Friday last year, I was like, I really want to move away from like an espresso machine and actually go and get a traditional espresso machine, right? So I started looking up espresso machines, and then my entire feed and my entire explore page over the 2 days became like nothing but coffee machines, right? because it relied on my behavior on the platform to show me what I was most interested in that moment. So people's algorithms and the content that they're being presented is shifting all the time based on their own behavior on the platform. And if your content is very focused and meeting the specific needs that someone has when they're searching or the thing that they're interested in, it will display to them regardless of if they're following you or not. So that's the
Nice.
big shift there with content. And that's why your content has to be so specific and so targeted.
Now,
Does that
So when
come
you say-
through text, like written text? So
Yeah, every
like
single
you're
element,
saying
like-
like lean, long form. So be like real specific in what you're actually putting in the text, but it'll also read what's verbally being said.
Yeah, it'll take every piece of
Wow.
data that it has access to, like from like what you're actually saying in video to captions that are embedded in the video to the caption that you post with the video to who you tag. All those elements are definitely like considered in the algorithm's distribution now. And that's a very different model. But so when I say you have to be specific for your page for your content, for the algorithm to understand who you are as a coach and what your page is about and who it serves, like all of the content that you post it needs to have a strategy now, right? And that's why I developed these frameworks for the coaches to get more clear so that everything that they post creates the right signal for the right person. But any one piece of content could like go off and have success, however you define success, right? Meeting the right viewer where they're at
Yeah.
is where I would define success. Yeah. That's kind of the big change in the platforms themselves. But then that changes the way we have to show up as coaches. Because if we're constantly posting like a bunch of random content, we're speaking to like a CrossFit athlete in one post and then a general population athlete in another post, and then we're sharing our dog or whatever it is, right? It kind of gives the algorithm too many signals. And so it's not consistently putting your content in front of the same viewers versus if your page and all of your content is very focused on the person, the problem, and the promise of your coaching, and you're using that content strategy framework that I've created for coaches or any content strategy framework that you come up with, if it's focused, it will distribute your content to the right viewer.
So you're almost saying like everything you post should be geared towards what you want your niche to be. Is that correct?
Yeah. And then I would save things that are like more, because obviously people, they want the knowledge, they want the value, but they also, when people buy coaching, they don't necessarily buy coaching, they buy the coach, right? So they want to know who you are as a person too. I think you can intermix things in your real life into your feed as well, but it's probably better done in like stories. And I think that's another mistake a lot of coaches make, or a lot of people just make in general. And I'm guilty of this too. It's so easy to like post a reel and then share it to your stories, but stories is its own little vertical within Instagram. And you want to create a reason for people to watch your stories. They're likely seeing the thing you've posted to your feed. So how can you use, and Jason, you do this super well, by just showing up live on your stories, talking to camera with about the same topic you might have created a post about that day, but you're adding different value into the stories, right? So, and they're getting to understand your personality. Then you're also sharing a bit about your family and the sports that you're coaching with your family and all those things. So it's easy for someone to like hit your page, understand who you serve, what type of coach you are, how to get access to you. And then if they want to get to know you deeper, they're in your stories and they're seeing you every day showing up, teaching, and also sharing your real life. So they get to know you better.
Yeah. It's interesting because you're talking and I'm looking at my Instagram page. I feel like my Instagram page is all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
So.
Like
you have
I'll
different
like,
lines of business that you're promoting. So that becomes a bit more challenging.
maybe. Yeah. Like I talk about youths and I have coaching and then I have other things. Maybe I
Yeah,
gotta
this is
niche
why
it
you're
down
seeing
more.
a lot of trends of people creating a lot of sub accounts so that those sub accounts can be more targeted. Then it just becomes you're managing a lot, right? So I think when you have multiple areas that you're focused on, probably pick a priority and create some kind of like percent balance structure where like you're overwhelmingly skewing in one direction. But if you want to intermix the other things or decide what you're growing in person versus what you're growing online.
So online thing and marketing and algorithms is insane to me.
It's always changing, right? It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
yeah, with coaching, you take the principles, but every client, you're applying them differently, right? I feel like marketing is very much the same, where it's like every 6 months, there's some big shift and it just changes the way we have to think about it.
Yeah. Why are they always shifting things? Why can't we just like lock in and,
Attention, right?
get
They're
it
always
done?
trying to capture the most attention.
It's like dopamine addicts. Media.
Yeah, and that's why I encourage coaches to lead with long form. I think if you're going, and that's primarily YouTube, right? Long form videos mostly going to live on YouTube. YouTube has a number of different algorithms behind how they distribute content, but it's also indexed by the large language models or AI. It's also searchable. And if you're doing it right, can be repurposed in unique ways to inform your short form and make the short form game less overwhelming.
Yeah.
That's why I created the minimum viable marketing system, because I just wanted coaches to have efficiencies to like create one really in-depth, high-value piece of content that serves their audience well each week. And then as they're producing that, obviously repurposing is like the lowest form of being able to create short form from your long form. But if you know you made 3 really strong points in your long form, that like you can easily turn that into a 7-second animated text reel or a carousel, or go live on stories talking about the same thing but in a different point of view. So yeah, but it eliminates like the mental load and like the cognitive tax on creating content, because you're so focused. And then you think about the viewers, they need a high frequency of like how they're hearing something from you. So if you're talking about like, I don't know, muscle up, skill progression that week, it's like they might need to see it from you 15 times that week before they actually take action and go watch that video. So if you're posting every day that week in different formats about that same topic and then driving them to your long form through DM engagement, then I think you have a lot more chances of getting more views on the long form.
Gotcha.
Here's a bigger question around athletes that coaches want to coach. So bridging marketing, bridging social media, all of these things. Is it actually like, would you encourage coaches to reel in the different types of coaches or the different types of athletes they coach? Because I know this is a problem. I don't know if it's a problem for Jay, but it's a problem for me. Jay coaches everybody under the sun: tactical athletes, special forces, CrossFit, high rock, like all these different people. So he's talking about all sorts of different things. Do you think that actually could potentially hurt the coach if they are trying to build an audience? Because you're just like, I got to touch all these buckets and I have all these things to say, but it actually kind of confuses people. Because I know I've gotten followers that like, I'll get a follow, and then 3 days later, I notice I'll post something random or like significantly different than what they followed me for, and then they fall off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, gosh, this is changing so fast too. I think because the algorithms are so good at like distributing content that people want to see, there's a lot of a trend of people not following. So I think to earn the follow now, you do have to be pretty consistent and really high value, and someone has to want to make sure they're not going to miss your things, right? But if someone engages with something that you post, the algorithm will likely distribute more pieces of your content to them over time. And sometimes that's just enough for people, and they see it in their feed when they see it in their feed, which is, I think, why you have to be really strategic about like what I call like those hand raiser moments in your short form to get people back to your DMs so that you can start to develop a rapport with them and drive them to your long form and qualify them if you're going to nurture them into a coaching relationship. But yeah, I think the confusion could be there or it could not be there. I think like Jay, what you do really well is obviously like focusing on the principles that apply to you coaching any of these athletes. And maybe that's because you're also coaching coaches. So you're always like bringing it back to that point of view, which the coach who has interest in really mastering the principles is going to connect to that content. And then obviously they're going to see that you're coaching a variety of athlete types. And I don't want to like ever make a coach feel limited if they aren't passionate about being focused in who they're coaching. I'm not saying like don't coach the breadth of people that you want to coach, but I do think being more focused in your content. So finding a way to have that, your messaging be very dialed. And maybe that means laddering it back up to principles, or maybe that means specializing in a segment of coaching. Like maybe it's like if your energy systems development is your priority versus strength training, right? Like really focusing on that and how that applies to all the athletes that you touch so that there's a central point or through line through all your content.
Okay, so Jay doesn't need 5 different Instagram accounts. High Rocks Jay, Tactical Jay, Fighter Jay.
I mean, it's a strategy for sure, but it's a nightmare to manage.
Yeah.
Like managing one is a nightmare, and I don't even do a good job. Like you have some people who have like hundreds of thousands of followers and comments and likes and DMs and all this stuff, and it amazes me how they get there. Because I'm like, I think that's where one of the things where I always get lost in the flush of it, where I'm like, man, it's like these people are posting like such trivial stuff, and I look at it, I'm like, this is just like ridiculous.
So it's a balance,
right? And
right? Because it's there's content that's going to have more reach, so you're going to get more eyeballs on it, and it might bring people in. But like you said, Ryan, those people may be very disinterested in the next couple of things that you post and decide to unfollow if they had followed. But I think even within the niche that you're serving and the area that you're focusing your content within, there are ways to create content for like virality within your niche, right? That are just going to like get more eyeballs on the piece of content. But then you want to balance that with the content that's going to have the depth that's likely going to convert the people. That content isn't always the content that gets the most eyeballs on it, right? That might get lower eyeballs on it, but the higher viral niche content brought them to your page. But then as they were on your page, they saw the piece of content that had more depth, and then that converted them. So there's definitely like a mix involved in the way that you think about those things. But I wouldn't say like the influencer strategy is more of a media distribution strategy because they're monetizing they're being paid on the views, right? Like they have a sponsor that's like just paying them for distribution. So their
Yeah.
reward mechanism for creating content is very different than a coach. Whereas a coach is like, I want freaking clients. I don't care how many views my reel got.
Yeah.
Right.
Does the aesthetics of your grid matter?
No.
I mean, well, let me clarify that. I think it matters from a personal expression standpoint. I think it matters if it's important to you as how you express your style. Does it limit success if you are not like a gifted graphic designer? Absolutely not. I mean, I think showing up raw and real, and even now more so, like, I don't know if you guys paid attention last week to Claude Design launching, but Claude Design can whip up some beautiful assets for you in about 30 seconds. So now anyone can be a graphic designer. But the more we start to see...
What's Claude Design?
Claude Design, if you're in the browser interface of Claude, is now, I think you have to be a paid member of Claude to access it. But it's basically a design function where you prompt and it will create presentations, social posts, websites.
Is it like claudedesign.com?
I think it's just claude.com/design when you're logged in, but it's epic. I mean, I literally created an entire presentation for my office hours last week in like 30 seconds, and it was beautifully designed, and I had to make like 2 edits. But my point there is like the more everyone has access to the tools to look polished and look the same, and the more content starts to look the same, the more your content blends in. So I think it's important to have a persistent style that is like reflective of who you are and the way you want to show up, so that your viewers can recognize your content more consistently. But I think it's really about the rapport you're developing. And again, like thinking from that content minutes perspective, how deep are you taking people into your world? How deep are you taking them into your thinking? How deep are you taking them into your actual client success? That's the stuff I think that's going to drive the most conversion and the most impact. Now, it's a slower grow for sure. But if aesthetics matter to you, like I think maybe use me and Carl as a differentiator. Like I'm the brand marketer, but Carl is way more particular about aesthetics than I am because that's his just personality. He likes things to look like crisp and polished. We'll have a conversation about like something that I have edited. And if the video quality isn't perfect, he notices. Whereas I may not even notice anymore because I'm just like, it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Ryan, I don't know why I'm stuck on this Claude thing. Ryan, have you used Claude before?
No.
So Claude is an LLM. Like it's the equivalent of like a ChatGPT, but it's always been kind of deemed as the better writer of all the LLMs. And the cool thing about Claude, I mean, they're crushing right now from like a enterprise and like corporate LLM usage, is Claude Cowork. So it's a desktop app that you have the ability to do chat, Claude Cowork, and Claude Code. And the cool thing is that it's not just you chatting with the LLM and doing the work to get work out. It automates the actual execution and production of work for you. So you become a manager of the LLM doing the work. Like we're implementing this across our entire organization right now, just for efficiencies and to be able to execute faster. But you build skills, it has like more features of plugins. You can create folders on your desktop that it has access to. So it's like actually using your content to create more content or to get smarter on your voice. So there's just a lot more versatility with it. And the big thing is the automation component. And then of course, with Claude Code, I mean, anyone can build anything now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Design is only available in the browser, but I'm pretty sure with the way that they're innovating, it will be available in Cowork as well on the desktop.
That's I was talking to someone at Power Monkey, and you know, he's in wow, why can't I think of the word right now? Anyways, he does work with computers and data, software engineering, all that stuff, right? And he was working for Microsoft like 15 years. And he was like, the biggest issue that people like him are having is that all like the software and data positions are being taken over by AI. You know, I know like for us, there's like a huge discussion for a while about, you know, AI taking over coaching and apps. Like I'm in the philosophy that I think some people use it, but I think most people won't, because AI might at some point, but right now can never dictate human connection. But you have people who are like in the computer industry now where AI is doing all that stuff and taking 100%. Over for them.
Even so, Claude Cowork was built. So Claude developers built Cowork, and they are now coding all of the features within Claude through Cowork, and they're not actually doing any code writing themselves.
It's crazy how, like, you know, you look at like Terminator, right? How like robots take over the world and how humans build robots and robots are going to eventually like take over and just wipe out the human race.
Humans that manage robots well will win, right? Because and I think this is how we have to think about it as coaches too. Actually, Carl's working on a new class that's launching in probably 2 weeks if I can get it ready in LearnerX that is all about how to build your AI coaching stack. And the goal is not to be lazy, right? The goal is not to let AI do the work for you. It's to leverage AI at what it's good at. What is it good at? It's good at data analysis. It's good at automation. It's even good at program design now if it has the right inputs. Now, as a coach, just like me as a marketer, if I'm using AI, I have a different level of taste because of my lived experience as a marketer where I can evaluate what is good or poor results from an LLM. And I can give it the right inputs to get better results. A coach is going to be in the very same situation. Your program design through AI is only going to be as good as the information you give it. But like within Coach RX and RxBot now, think of all the data that RxBot has access to from your client profiles, from your client calendar, from the lifestyle and integration data that's being fed in, from client responses and results, from your consultation notes. It can synthesize that data for you and give you more insightful intelligence and also automate a lot of, I know we love program design and the craft of program design, but it can do a lot of that for you so that you can do what? Spend more time coaching, spend more time on relationships, spend more time more deeply connecting with your clients through behavior change and encouraging behavior change, which is ultimately the thing the coaches need to be focused on to drive the results. And it's going to give you way more time to be able to do that. And that's the thing that AI can't do. So it's like we have to all be thinking, what can humans do that AI will never be able to do? And how do we build the systems with AI to replace the tasks that we're doing right now that suck time out of our day, that prevent us from being able to do the thing that only we can do? And I'm thinking about the same thing as a marketer. I'm like, what are all the things that I need to let AI replace me in doing so that I can spend the time doing the things that I can only do myself that are going to be the most impactful to the business and focus on those things and free up all the time that just sucks hours out of your day. So I think it's a mental shift. I know it's really easy to say, like, to want to resist, but like, think about every technological evolution that has ever happened. Like, newspapers do not exist anymore. Radio does not exist anymore. TV does not exist as it once did, right? In 3 years, this is going to be a very different conversation. So the coaches who are getting in and building the systems right now and building the foundations right now with AI and using it for what it can do, synthesize data, probably program design. And I know that sucks because coaches love program design and the craft of program design. You're still guiding the design and approving the design and giving it the inputs, but like, it's going to get better at anything that is a mathematical equation. So then the things it can't do is connect to your client, build relationships, have consultations that are like deep and meaningful. So if you focus more on those things and you have more time to do those things better, like we just have to be thinking that way.
Yeah. As you're talking, I was going through Claude and downloading Claude.
You'll love it. It's like, it feels very different than Chat or Perplexity or Gemini. Gemini is actually getting really good too. Chat just launched a new image design capability this week as well that is also pretty significantly improved. They're all going to get better. And again, like, that's why this class that Carl's launching is more about how do you set yourself up with the right systems and the right inputs to give any LLM. He's using Claude as an example, but like a lot of this is how you organize the information that you give any LLM so that it has the right client data to be able to help you do your job better.
Fascinating. All right. Well, Kandace, we're gonna finish it off there. If Ryan, do you have any other questions? I see you looking over at the paper. You got stuff.
No, just thinking about how
don't be mad at me for
gonna
saying
take
that.
over my life.
Don't be mad at me for saying that. I just want us to get ahead of it because I think the coaches that start using this well are going to have more success because they're going to focus on the things that AI can't replace.
Yeah. I love it. Kandace, if people want to work with you, get signed up into the things you're doing, get hold of you, how can they do that?
I'm on the gram all the time. I'm behind the OPEX and the Coach RX account too, but I have my personal page is just at Kandace Hudspeth. The Marketing for Fitness Coaches podcast also has a page that's on YouTube under my personal channel. And I would love to have conversations and chat further about anything really. I just love helping coaches. It's like, I always wanted to be a coach, but I went the business route. And so I get to live vicariously through all the coaches that I get to help grow. And there's some like weird emotional connection that I have to their success because they're impacting more people in a positive way. And it makes me feel good.
And you're a badass too. I saw your handstand walks and your freestanding handstand shoulder taps.
Did you
and all that
catch
stuff.
my 45-pound weighted pull up this week?
You cut me off. I was just about to say it. that.
I'm crushing it.
Yeah, it's legit.
3 reps.
Can't say. Yeah.
Jay's currently taking athletes, by the way.
I'm not. Ryan is.
Bodybuilding athletes, because that's my jam.
Get you on a couple rounds of tren. We'll be good to go, Kandace.
I don't think I'll ever compete again, but I do love looking like I compete every day.
Yeah, I mean, your physique is dialed, so you're good. Whatever you're doing is working.
Hey, I mean, having a big life changes will do that to you.
They will.
Yeah.
They will.
Yes, they will.
You get more focused on what, your own happiness. And hey, I got to find my next future life partner. So
yeah, there you go.
Looking good and making 40 like 24, hopefully.
That's right. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Kandace, thank you so much. As always, every time we chat, I get so much information and I also get more confused, but I get less confused now. So it's getting better.
Good. We'll do a follow-up.
Yeah, it's awesome.
No, you guys are so amazing. Like, thank you for all you do for just the coaching community. You guys are always spitting so much game and also doing it with a lot of laughs. So I always appreciate you. I love catching the episodes each week. And when I do the Roundup blog, it's my favorite episode to watch. I'm like, what are they going to say?
I know.
We're going to be the first one to get canceled for sure.
Yeah. I don't even like, and some of the stuff I've like had to like take out and delete. I'm like, I don't know if we can keep that one in. I got a little aggressive.
It's Tyler. It's not us. We brought on a
Tyler,
third.
Right.
A third
Was Tyler
host.
scared of me being on? He didn't want to be on with us?
No, I didn't send an invite. He's going to get mad at me.
We wouldn't have gotten anything done.
Yeah. Tyler should have been on this though, because he's a gym owner and he does a lot of stuff. This would have been great for him. Damn, Tyler, my bad, bro. Next time.
He'll come back for the Roundup.
I'll come back anytime you guys want. There's lots to talk about.
Yeah, a lot. Well, Kandace, thank you so much for your time. This is awesome. I appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.